$100. It fits in your wallet, barely makes a dent in a monthly budget in some countries, and yet in others, it can feel like a small fortune. The same green bill carries wildly different weight depending on where you are standing on this planet. Purchasing power is one of the most fascinating economic realities of our world, and exploring what $100 can actually buy you across different countries reveals just how unequal, surprising, and sometimes jaw-dropping global economics can be. From street food stalls in Southeast Asia to upscale restaurants in Scandinavia, that single bill tells a completely different story depending on the passport you carry and the border you cross. So let us take a journey around the world and find out exactly what $100 gets you, country by country, experience by experience. If there is one region on Earth where $100 stretches furthest, it is Southeast Asia. In Vietnam, $100 can cover an entire week of comfortable living. Think about that for a moment. A decent hotel room in Ho Chi Minh City can cost as little as $15 to $20 per night. A bowl of pho from a local street vendor costs roughly $1.50. A full sit-down meal at a mid-range restaurant might run you $4 to $6. With $100, you could eat 3 full meals a day, sleep in a clean and comfortable guest house, take motorbike taxis across the city, and still have money left over for a cold beer at the end of the night. In Thailand, the story is similar. Bangkok is famous for its street food culture, where a plate of pad thai from a roadside cart costs around $1.25. A massage, something Thailand is globally renowned for, runs about $8 to $10 for a full hour. A night in a guest house in Chiang Mai can be found for as little as $10. $100 in Thailand could mean 5 to 7 nights of accommodation, dozens of street food meals, a couple of traditional massages, and transportation across the city using tuk-tuks and local buses. In Cambodia, $100 goes even further. The local currency, the Cambodian riel, is used alongside the US dollar, which is widely accepted. A full meal at a local restaurant costs around $2. A guest house near the temples of Angkor Wat can be found for $8 to $12 per night. $100 in Cambodia is genuinely life-changing money for many locals, and for a traveler, it represents nearly a week of full, immersive experiences. Moving west into South Asia, $100 continues to punch well above its weight. India is perhaps the most extreme example of purchasing power disparity. In cities like Jaipur, Varanasi, or even parts of Mumbai, $100 can cover accommodation, food, local transportation, and even entry fees to historical monuments for an entire week. A thali meal, which is a traditional Indian platter with multiple dishes, rice, bread, and dessert, costs anywhere from $1 to $3 at a local eatery. Auto rickshaw rides across a city cost mere cents. A budget guest house in Rajasthan can be found for as little as $8 to $12 per night. In Nepal, $100 takes on an almost mythical quality. Kathmandu is one of the most affordable capitals in the world. A comfortable room in the Tamil district, the tourist hub, can be found for $10 to $15. Dal bhat, the traditional Nepali meal of lentil soup, rice, and vegetables, costs around $2 to $3 and is often unlimited in local restaurants. $100 in Nepal could fund several days of city exploration, a short trekking permit, and still leave room for souvenirs and local crafts. Latin America offers a wildly diverse range of purchasing power depending on which country you visit. In Mexico, $100 delivers tremendous value, particularly outside of tourist-heavy resort zones. In Mexico City, a night in a clean, centrally located hostel or budget hotel costs around $20 to $30. Street tacos, one of the great culinary joys of the world, cost roughly 50 cents to $1 each. A sit-down meal at a local cantina runs $3 to $6. $100 in Mexico City could mean 3 nights of accommodation, dozens of tacos, museum entry fees, metro rides across the sprawling city, and a few cold cervezas along the way. In Colombia, $100 stretches comfortably across several days. Medellin, once infamous and now celebrated as one of Latin America's most innovative cities, offers budget accommodation for $15 to $25 per night. A traditional bandeja paisa, a massive Colombian platter loaded with beans, rice, meat, plantains, and eggs, costs around $4 to $7. In Bolivia, $100 goes even further. La Paz, the world's highest capital city, is extraordinarily affordable. A meal at a local market costs $1 to $2. A night in a guest house runs $8 to $15. $100 in Bolivia could fund nearly a week of exploration, including day trips to the famous salt flats of Salar de Uyuni. Cross into Europe and the story changes dramatically. Western Europe is where $100 begins to feel like a modest amount rather than a fortune. In France, $100 might cover a single night in a budget hotel in Paris, a couple of cafe meals, and a metro day pass. A glass of wine at a Parisian cafe costs around $6 to $10. A croissant and coffee breakfast runs $4 to $7. $100 in Paris is gone before you know it, perhaps covering less than 24 hours of basic expenses. In Norway, the situation is even more sobering. Oslo consistently ranks among the most expensive cities in the world. A single meal at a mid-range restaurant can cost $40 to $60. A beer at a bar runs $10 to $15. $100 in Oslo might cover dinner for one person and a couple of drinks, with very little left over. Scandinavia as a whole operates on a financial scale that makes $100 feel like pocket change. However, Eastern Europe tells a different story. In Poland, Hungary, and the Czech Republic, $100 regains some of its strength. In Warsaw or Budapest, a night in a comfortable hotel costs $25 to $40. A hearty local meal runs $4 to $8. $100 in Eastern Europe can comfortably cover 2 to 3 nights of accommodation and several satisfying meals. Africa is a continent of enormous economic contrasts, and $100 reflects that reality vividly. In Morocco, $100 is a generous daily budget. A night in a traditional riad in Marrakesh costs $20 to $40. A bowl of harira soup and a plate of tagine at a local restaurant costs $3 to $5. In Ethiopia, $100 is extraordinary. Addis Ababa offers guesthouse rooms for $5 to $10 per night. A full injera meal with various stews costs $1 to $2. $100 in Ethiopia could fund nearly 2 weeks of comfortable local living. In contrast, in South Africa, particularly in Cape Town, $100 covers a moderate day. A night in a decent guesthouse runs $30 to $50. A meal at a mid-range restaurant costs $10 to $20. The currency fluctuations and economic disparities within Africa alone make $100 behave in completely unpredictable ways. In the Middle East, countries like the United Arab Emirates and Qatar make $100 feel modest. A meal at a restaurant in Dubai costs $20 to $50. A taxi ride across the city can run $15 to $25. However, in countries like Egypt or Jordan, $100 regains its power significantly, covering multiple days of sightseeing, food, and accommodation with ease. What this journey around the world ultimately reveals is that money is not a fixed concept. Its value is fluid, shaped by local economies, cost of living indexes, currency exchange rates, and the invisible forces of global trade and policy. $100 is simultaneously a week's worth of luxury in Cambodia and a single dinner in Oslo. It is a month's worth of street food in Ethiopia and barely a night's stay in a Parisian hotel. Understanding purchasing power parity, the economic concept that compares the relative value of currencies based on what they can actually buy, helps explain why the same amount of money produces such radically different outcomes. For travelers, this knowledge is empowering. For economists, it is a window into global inequality. And for the rest of us, it is a reminder that the world is far more complex, diverse, and unequal than any single currency can capture. The next time you hold a $100 bill, consider the journey it could take you on, and just how differently the world would receive it, depending on where you choose to go. Please like, share, and subscribe for more videos.